The Serenity Prayer came up in a recent online session I was doing with a bunch of people, and it struck me that that which is useful for 12 step programs and for inspiration in general can also have a very practical use when trying to understand this whack business that we're in of performing, of being actors and being voice talent. How, you ask? Well, let me tell you, and I will when we come back in this episode of the VO Heroes podcast. So, if you've never heard the Serenity Prayer, it goes like this: God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And some people think this is from the Bible. It isn't. It was created, to the best of etymologists' knowledge, sometime in the 30s or 40s. It's variously attributed to many different people. But this notion of understanding the difference between the things you can change, the things you have control over, the things you can't change, that you don't have control over, and that are inevitable or are at least to be counted on to happen at some point, and then to be at peace with that, to understand the difference between those two things, and to accept that there are going to be some things you can change and some things you can't. Our business is filled with things you cannot change. It's filled with things that you can't predict either. Not just can't change. Like, can't change means, okay, I know this is going to happen and I can't change it from happening or not happening. Sometimes you don't even know things are they're going to happen. And no one understands 100% of this wacky business that we're in, this business of being a creative, of being an artist, of being an actor, a voice talent, a writer, some sort of performer, some sort of artist performer. And that can become a real high speed bump. Like, not just a speed bump, but a retaining wall that you crash into for some people who try again and again and again to make it work for them based on the rules that they've created. And those rules are sometimes in opposition to actual reality. Well, I think it should work this way, so I'm going to keep doing it. And part of it is because as artists, we're often told, you know what, you're really unique. You're really amazing. You do things your way. You march to the sound of a different drummer. You keep doing that. You be you, boo. Unfortunately, when it veers into being in conflict with those things you cannot change, it can cause, well, why isn't this working? Oh, this is BS. This is bullshit. I'm not, and it can cause some real pain and frustration. And some people leave the business because things didn't work the way they thought they would work. And they didn't take the time to consider whether or not the assumptions that they were making about our business were correct, that they could rely on those assumptions, that those were rules that they could actually live by. So when you think about this business and you think about some of the challenges that you've experienced, I'd love for you to take a moment and ask yourself this. Is this something, this challenge that's happening to me, or isn't happening for me, is this something based on a rule that I have made for myself, or an expectation that I've made for myself that might not be true and that can't be changed? And no amount of wishing or hoping or praying or asking the universe to pay attention to me for a moment, none of that is going to change that. The Serenity Prayer comes into play in a very practical way, I think. I'd like to know what you think. Let me know in the comments below. Have you experienced this where you thought, well, I thought casting people were the ones that made the decisions. I didn't know it was writers and directors and producers. I thought casting people were the ones with all the power. Well, they have some, but that's an assumption that probably isn't true. You might want to rethink that or get more information on it. Tell me in the comments below if there's something that has happened to you like that, maybe what it was, how you changed up your mind, and you maybe thought, oh, well, I can't change that. I'll just accept that this is the way it is and move on. Or was something that you didn't know you could change and you did. Tell me, let me know. Comments below, voheroes.com. Go there, share with me what your thoughts are on this. While you're at it, if you want to hit the like button on what you're listening to or what you're watching. If you want to subscribe to the channel, if you want to click the notification bell and get notified the next time an episode comes out, they're fairly regular. They've been fairly regular for about 3 decades now. I'm really excited about that. Let's see, 3 decades, right? Exactly. Before podcasting was called podcasting. Share this with another artist who might be bumping their head against a wall. They might be helped by this. I'm David H. Lawrence, the 17th. I thank you so much for watching and for listening, and I will see you in the next episode of the VO Heroes podcast.